You're listening to the Daily Sales Tips podcast, and I'm your host, Scott Ingram. Today's tip comes from Kristina Finseth. Kristina leads growth marketing at Interseller, a prospecting and outreach platform for recruiters and sellers. In her role, she's responsible for leading both the marketing and sales development teams. Kristina is also the creator of the Outbound Fire Framework course, focused on getting you to 80% plus opens, 30% plus replies, and 10% plus booked meetings off of cold email outreach alone. Here she is.
All about relevancy when it comes to your outreach. So this is the interesting part. If you read a lot about relevancy online, what you'll find out, especially in the sales process, the outreach process, what you'll find is that a lot of people believe that relevancy comes into play when you are actually writing your message and delivering that to your prospects. And so what that really comes in the form of is spelling out who you are, what your product or service is or does, what problem you could solve, what your solution is, and that you have to put that in your message, or else your prospects are just going to be confused. Now, again, I'm going to just put a disclaimer out there. This is a hot take. I do have data to back it up. I've practiced this a lot. Relevancy, I want to just go ahead and argue this for a second, actually comes in higher in the process. And so what I mean by that is relevancy is actually built by you during your own prospecting. So what I mean is if you have your target accounts, you know with certainty who your personas are, your target personas, your ICP, and you know that you have product market fit, whatever, you know that you solve problems for those people, then they are going to do their own research if you have a compelling enough message that cuts through the noise. And so people always ask me, how do you book meetings when you're not even talking about a product, a service, a problem, or solution in your outreach? It's because the relevancy comes into play with who you're targeting, not what you are targeting with. I know it sounds a little off, but it's true. And so what ends up happening is when you send a message to a prospect and it has nothing to do with your product, service, problem, solution, what ends up happening, and I've studied this behavior with the data that comes on the back end, is if your message is interesting enough, again, they will actually do their own research. So you'll actually see, oh, okay, these people who replied to my message also clicked on the website that's in my signature, connected the dots, and put the relevancy into play in the way and the context that they respond to me with. So let me just show you an example here because this might be easier. All right. So again, let's just go right here. If you have a compelling message, I just love to hit this home because I really think that it's really about your research and they're going to respond to you. They're going to do their own research. People like to make their own decisions and their own conclusions. So here's an example here. I emailed Mike. If Mike is watching this, I hope you don't mind. I appreciate you and your response to me. But basically what happened is I sent a message that was highly personalized. It had nothing to do with anything that my company offers. And it really was, Mike, I disagree with Ingrid's post too. He had commented on a post that was a really hot button topic for recruiters. That's my target audience. And so I took the opportunity to write him and say, hey, I really agree with what you said in your comment. Would love to earn the right to talk about how Interseller might fit in. And so you can see here the natural progression. He opened my email. He did his own research. I didn't have to spell out relevancy here. He then responds back to me with context. I'm not a decision maker when it comes to any of these types of services and would recommend you reach out to our VP of marketing. But he still wanted to speak. And we talked about kind of what's going on in the Florida market, which is where he's at. So again, for argument's sake, people will do their own research. And there's something psychological about people being in control of making the decision on whether or not you've earned the right to that conversation. So try it. If you need a template that you want to personalize on and maybe play on this a little bit more, I'm always happy to share. So don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great day. Bye.
As you could probably hear, there's a video version of this tip where you can see the actual email that Kristina is referencing. We'll have that links for you to connect with Kristina and to learn more about her Outbound Fire Framework course at DailySales.Tips/815. After you've clicked over there, be sure to come back tomorrow for another great sales tip. Thanks for listening.